welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. We have a special pod today for every single one of you watching and listening tonight. We have the pleasure to have Dagur Dan Thorhallsson for Orlando City SC here with us today. We're going to be talking about a little bit about him and his adaptation into the City Beautiful. We're also going to be talking about some of the challenges he had to had, since joining Orlando. What he has to overcome. One of the most consistent, in our opinion, players in the squad. So definitely happy to be here. We're here with Paola and John as well. Dagur, welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
There you go. So, John, you want to start off?
Yeah, Dagur, you joined January of 2023 from Iceland. Tell us a little bit about your time before Orlando and like what it was like playing soccer in Iceland and kind of how you got recruited to come play for Orlando City.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I can make it shorter. You say my career started 16 in Iceland. I played for like a half a year with in the second division. Was bought from there to Belgium. Struggle a lot there. Come back home, do okay for 1 year, and I'm bought again to Norway. Struggle a lot there for 2 years. I go back to Iceland, and I go into a team so we get relegated, and I get bought after that season. I get bought to the best team in the league in Iceland, and for me it was just like, okay, I don't care if I'm on the bench. I don't care. I'm just gonna try to do my best, and because the coach there I really liked, and he liked to play soccer, really similar to Orlando. And I was like, I don't care. I'll just learn. And then there was an injury in the team after like 3 games, and I played every match from there on, and I was chosen one of the best players in the league. So it happened really quickly from being everything really bad for 2, 3, 4 years, and then the best player in the league. So it was, and then after that, I was bought to Orlando.
Yeah, obviously you're like I call a jack of all trades. You've played a lot of positions, but currently you've been playing right back, for a while. What have you learned about the position and your role within the team?
I can tell you that I'm still learning a lot. I'm still like, I think in the last 1.5 year, I've learned probably more than I've learned almost in my whole career, because I played the same position my whole life. Like I played many different positions in the same position, like left wing, right wing, or midfield or whatever. But I feel like that's a lot similar. But in a right back and especially in a 4-man defense, you need to be alert all the time, and I feel like I'm still learning, and it's gonna take some time, but I feel like I'm doing better and better every day. So I've learned a lot in the last year and a half.
Fantastic, Paula.
So, Dagur, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced since joining Orlando City, and how did you overcome it?
I think defensively I struggle a little bit, and I still feel like I'm still trying to work on it every day and think about it every day. And me and Oscar, we talked about it a lot, that defensively I'm still like not the best that I think I can be. I think, for example, like in last game, I feel like I have a big part in the first goal and a big part in the penalty. So it's just a progress of like trying to like learn the defensive part a little bit better, but it's coming every day. And I think the defensive part, if I fix the defensive part like I'm trying to do, and then I can become a really, really good right back. So that's how I would feel, to answer your question. Fix the defensive part, and yeah.
John.
Dagur, you've been one of the most consistent players this year for Orlando City. You've started 29 matches, getting 2,412 minutes. Did you expect to be such like an important part of this team, only in your second year of being with the club?
No, I could say no, and definitely not as a right back. I came in as a midfielder, and I thought I would be like a rotational player, and that was the that talking when I talked with the club, like started as a rotational player and see what happens. But and after last year, I felt like okay, I could if I get 1, 2, 3 years in the MLS and I can dominate that position, I feel like my career I can go further with my career as a right back than I could maybe as a midfielder because there's so many players there, and I feel like that's why I talk about the defensive part because yeah, so yeah.
So obviously you've talked about Belgium, you talked about Norway, um, French, and you have several languages now, Spanish. But there's a lot of people, a lot of pundits, a lot of press in South America and in Europe that kind of still believe that the MLS is a retirement home, as a league. What do you think about the MLS now and this best of three series that's coming up, like the format?
Yeah, the format itself, I because it's the only thing I know. So and I don't dislike it, but I think I don't know. Everybody would like maybe one a little bit different, but I have basically no opinion on it. I just think it's fine. I don't think it's perfect. I think there's something that could be fixed, but like I'm not gonna disagree with what they do because it's the only thing I've seen. But I've heard guys talk about like the before it was one game, and sometimes it's been like home and away, and so I'm not so sure what I would rather want. But I think it's okay. I just think sometimes there's a little bit long periods of time between games where like the playoffs is finished in maybe 1.5 months instead of just doing it, trying to do it like quicker. But I don't know. I like it, and I have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, we agree with that too, Dagger. We like
Yeah.
the games a little bit quicker. Any opinions on Charlotte, your opponent for these next three? You guys have played them before. Anything stand out to you about this team and when you face up against them?
We know I think they have the most clean sheets in the whole league, at least their goalkeeper. I think I'm right there. I think they have 12.
Yeah, I think it's like them and Seattle are up there with like least goals as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's they have one of the strongest defense in the league. So it's going to be a challenge to play against them because they play very narrow and 4-4-2 formation that it's very hard to beat if you play it correctly and if you play it good. So it's gonna be a fun challenge, and I think they have a very good squad, a very good team.
Dagger, tell us if you have any like pre-games rituals or routines that help you prepare before the match.
Yeah, I could say I'm a little bit of a superstitious. I try to do the same thing always. It's just a little bit of you could say in my head, but especially if there's a home game, I try to wake up around 7, similar time that I wake up if we're in a away game, and I throw oatmeal in, eat an oatmeal. Then I just chill for a little bit, eat again at 10, just like some bake or something, try to get as much carbohydrate in as I can. Then I go to the gym at like 10 or 11, try to just do some activation and stuff like that. Then I come home, and usually my wife has the dog, and she like tries to take care of it, and I get one day, especially the day on game day, I get to just chill. So she takes him out and does some stuff with it, and then I can just basically chill here at home and just do my things. And yeah, then I'm not proud of it, but I always have like a monster around like 2, something like that. And then I just get ready for the game, and in the car to the game, my wife puts on some good music, usually Icelandic music, and I drive to Starbucks, take some coffee, and then I drive to the game. Always, every game.
Every game.
Yeah,
Nice, nice. That's good to know a little perk about Dagger, what he does, what
exactly.
he will be doing on Sunday before that match against Charlotte. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You faced a lot of yeah, it seems like the trainings are very intense with Oscar and the staff, and you've gone to face a lot of the youth players and the OCB players. Which young first team or maybe OCB player have impressed you this season?
Um, there's so many. We have actually really good players, but a player that I think has almost capability that I have not seen is he's called Justin. So, what, 2007, I think. He hasn't played much in the OCB, but for me, he's so technically gifted. And then you have Guski as well, of course. But they're two very young guys who I like. When I looked at them, I was like, wow, these guys are a little bit different than what I've seen. So yeah, if I'm just shooting from my head, these two are like the that I watched and I thought like, wow, these could go really, really far.
Interesting. Paola?
Can you see yourself like at that age, like looking at yourself when you were young?
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes
100%.
I wanna like try to like help them because I know it's so hard when you're young. You're so, and I'm not saying that I'm old. I'm still young, but when you're younger and you're like 17, 18, you're trying to kickstart your career. You're so eager to like I have to play, I have to do this. Like you don't have to do anything. Just try to train as hard as you can, and then eventually the opportunity is gonna come. If it's gonna be here, or if it's not gonna be here, then it's gonna be somewhere else. If you train good, it's gonna be somewhere else. 100%. At least that's my philosophy. So sometimes I just wanna like just relax a little bit and try to enjoy the moment. And that's if I was talking to my younger self, I would just say that just relax, train, try to do the best you can, and eventually it's gonna happen.
So that goes into my next question a little bit, right? Like, what is one piece of advice you would give to younger players aspiring to play professionally?
It's for me, it's a really, really. Uh, I was raised like this, and I think it's the only way my mind works. You just try to put in the work every day. I know it's a probably a boring answer, but for me, it's just you come in, you try to be as focused as you can because soccer and especially like professional athletes are everybody are trying to become better, but you're always trying to fight for that position, and it's always like a fight, and you don't have like friends because you're all fighting of course for the same thing, but also you're fighting with each other to have the position to play. But like I would say just train as much as you can and not as much as you can, but try to do it like right. You try to train the right things, and if you do that, I think you're gonna end up where you're supposed to be. Like maybe my capacity would be playing in the MLS, and I'm not saying that's bad, but then I'm saying like if you have like Lionel Messi, his capacity is a little bit higher than mine because he's the best in the world, and he trains, and then he ends up where he ends. It's like it's just if you train as hard as you can, you're gonna end up where you're gonna end. I think at least.
Dagger, very big difference coming from Iceland all the way over to Florida. What are the things that you've noticed, like culturally, about Orlando and the city? Are there things you like to do here, or something you might have discovered about the city or areas of the city that you like? How has it been, discovering a new place and a different place?
I think it's the first time, and I've lived in the 4 cities. I've been in Iceland, Belgium, Norway, and then Orlando. And for me, the first time when I landed, and I'm not lying, I said to my girlfriend that like, wow, I feel like home, and I don't know why. And after that, it's been like, of course, it's a little bit of a culture shock when you have a hurricane and stuff like that because you don't have that in Iceland, and you don't have that in Florida. But it was pretty fun, or not fun. It was scary and different, but I would say that's a little bit of a cultural shock. But Orlando per se, I would say it's one of the nicest places, and the people here are so nice. You're always like greeted with. In Iceland, you're like everybody a little bit grumpy, you could say. Here, everybody's so happy all the time. You're like, hey, how are you? In Iceland, everybody just think about the sandwich. You go by your day. Here, it's everybody's so nice, and I actually love it here in Orlando. I feel like it's my home right now.
We also have a lot of sunshine compared to, that makes a big difference to people's happiness, I think.
100%.
Yeah, as a man who comes from England, the winters here are not so gray. Yeah, I understand.
Exactly.
Now, you had the chance to be paired up with Heine Bruseth, and obviously you mentioned playing in Europe and in Norway, and he's a young kid. Can you tell us a little bit about what is kind of his style of play? Would you say do you see him making, possibly when he gets the chance, to make an immediate impact into the team, kind of like what you did when you first came into the team?
Yeah, uh, I think for him it's a little bit different. It's his first time abroad, and I feel like I knew what I was going into as in a professional level, but it always takes, and I would say for young players, it takes six months to just adapt, and then in that 6 month period, you can like have a really good like spike of the, because it's like everything is so new, and you're like, okay, wow, everything is so new, it's amazing, and then all of a sudden you hit like 6 months, and then it's like you just in this like in football world we call it like a 6 month depression or whatever, because you like everything's so new and everything's so perfect that you like, and then all of a sudden you drop a little bit. So it's gonna take, and especially for him because he's only 20, so it's gonna take some time. And I think for him it's gonna take like 6 months, maybe 1 year, just to adapt a little bit, and then all of a sudden it like starts to jump up. And I think for him he's bought into a kind of a different position than he is. He's like a 8 or as a 10, and we play in a double pivot, and then we have a lot of good players playing in that 10 position. So it's just gonna take some time, and I think he's gonna do really well in Orlando.
Paula, you have another question?
Yeah, I can ask him. How's your Spanish since you've been in Orlando City?
Muy bien. No,
Good.
No, I just know that like the basic stuff, and like just buenos dias, todo bien, everything like that's very like basic. And then I feel like because Oscar talks a lot he talks in Spanish, of course, and then he
Mm-hmm.
translates it to English. So I feel like all of a sudden now, the last like 2-3 months, I'm like, oh, I understand this word. So it's like it's coming together, but I'm very far off to being able to speak it.
No, little by little.
Exactly.
I'm from Puerto Rico, so I speak Spanish, and Luis too. So I can see ourselves speaking super fast in Spanish. So I don't blame you, but it will come to you. It will come to you.
Exactly.
John?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Dagur. I know before you've played for the Icelandic national team. Are you hopeful that you're gonna be able to get a call up again soon in the future?
It's a good question. Of course, I hope to play for that national team, but we have a coach that likes certain type of play, and I think I'm just maybe a little bit different player. I don't know, and they have many good players. So at least right now, I think I'm not in their plan, and for me, it's no problem. But they have like many good players, and we'll just see what happens. I'm not really stressed about it. I'm just thinking about Orlando actually. Hopefully, I can play for the national team, and I hope so really much in the future. But we'll see what happens.
Now, the expectation, I'm sure, the fans in the beginning of the year, there was a little bit of a slow start. You guys turned the boat around and overcame a lot of hurdles, and you started seeing more of like sequences and connections between the attacking third and the defense. What would you say it was the biggest change that you had to make? Not only probably as a defender, but also when you cut through the middle too, because we've seen you cut through the middle. It kind of become like John said it in a pod, like Sinchenko from Men City a little bit, right? So, what can you tell us about that?
I think I think we need to find out a little bit also why, because it basically happened exactly the same thing that happened last year.
Yeah.
So we had 2 years in a row where we start off kind of badly, and then I think at least this year we were the team with one of the most points from 1st of July or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That why can we do it just the whole year? Why do we have to like switch on 1st of July every time? So I think if we found out why that happens, and I think it's just because, of course, everybody like gluing their like their, you can say like the team chemistry is coming in together, and I think if we can find it a little bit sooner, and for myself, I just felt like the connection with Faku was and the right back and the wingers and the strikers were just a little bit less, and then all of a sudden in 1 month we were like, okay, wake up everybody, and then everything just clicked, and we just need to maybe do that a little bit earlier. There's no secret formula. It's just like I feel like everybody was just like, oh, okay, we're not really that good. We thought we were the best team in the world, but we're not, so we have to work for it. I think that's the main thing.
John?
I want to also ask Dagur, when you started out here in MLS, did you realize how much travel it was going to be? And how impactful is it, the fact that you have to fly across the whole country? And it's a big country.
Yeah, no, and yes, I don't know. I didn't actually know what I was expecting, but like I think before I came here, I thought like a 3-hour flight would be really long. But now, because we're flying every time for 3 hours, I'm like, okay, it's a 2.5 hour flight. It's pretty short. It's not terrible, and we have it really really good. We fly in a not in a, how do you say it, like not a private jet, but yeah, a private jet is, you just have 3 seats and you lay down. It's not terrible, I could say. Like in Iceland, we're driving 15 hours in a bus and we're all together, like squished together. So it's not terrible. I actually kind of enjoy it, and you just watch the iPad, and I can't complain at least.
Paola?
How does it feel playing in front of of Orlando City fans for you?
It's amazing. It's the one of the greatest feeling ever, especially if you do well and you score. I think I feel like I'm kind of like a junkie because it's such a adrenaline rush, and it's like a rush you go through every time you go into the pitch or every time you play in it. Especially if you score, I think there's no better almost in the world, and I think playing in front of the fans, and if you score in front of the wall, it's a crazy feeling. It's amazing.
Now, kind of to tighten into what Paula was saying, the fans and, you already adapting into the City Beautiful. Do you get stopped off often by the fans when you're out and about, or are people usually very respectful with your personal space?
People are very very respectful all the time. I get stopped sometimes, but I'm not. It's not like I'm super famous or anything. So maybe like 1 or twice in Publix, and I kind of enjoy it. It's a ego boost. You get like okay, people know me, but for me it's no problem. And if people ask for photos and stuff like that, it's no problem at all. And but I don't know how the really famous people have it, but for me it's not a problem.
So, John, anything else you want to add?
I just want to wish Dagur and all the guys, best of luck this weekend. This obviously playoffs last year, as you guys came up against the eventual winners. So, let's hope this year you can go all the way. We're very hopeful here in Orlando. And like you said, there's no better feeling. So if you were to lift a trophy, you would do something amazing in this city that we've never seen before. But we're just excited to watch playoff action in our city. We get 2 games. You guys finish in the top 4 again. That's enough for me personally. Let's see how we go in the playoffs.
I mean, of course, we're gonna go for it all the way.
No,
From 7th of December, so I'm not going home until 7th of December.
It's a long season.
Yeah, long season.
Yeah.
So, do you have, Dagur, before we close? Obviously, thank you for being with us here. Do you have any questions for us specifically? Have you listened to us in the past? Anything you want to say to the Orlando City fans before we close today?
No, just thank you everybody for, of course, watching the show. And yeah, I've listened to I remember I listened to you in the beginning when I was signing, because I just wanted to see everything about Orlando and stuff like that. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody that, of course, watch, and everybody that comes to the games. It's amazing to play for you.
Fantastic. So I wanted to definitely thank you for being here with us here at the Loud and Proud Orlando. Hopefully, it's not the last time we see you here. And again, we wish you the best of luck here and for the playoffs. I know that you guys are overcame a lot of hurdles this year, so I will definitely look forward to still cover the playoffs and all the ins and outs. So make sure if you're listening to check out our socials. We're available on Apple Podcasts. This episode will be available and as well as on Spotify. We're on X at LP_podcasts, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So thank you to John as well, to Paola, and to you, Dagger.
Thank
And before we go, vamos Orlando.
Vamos, Orlando.
Vamos, Orlando.
Vamos Orlando.
you. See you.